It's the Fantasy Basketball Waiver Wire. Should we take a look? We should. Michael.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I'm just waiting for a mate. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshlloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Super Bowl 59 is almost here, and there is no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers can bet just $5, and if you win, you will score $200 in bonus bets. Download the app and head to fanduel.com today to get started. Thank you also checking out lockedondaily.com. You should go there and find the best newsletter for your favorite NBA team. That is lockedondaily.com. Remember, trade deadline show live Thursday, February the 6th, 1 p.m. Eastern. Get on over there. We are here ready to start week 15 in the NBA. We've got the Waiver Wire show to talk about. It is actually, what day is it? 27th of January here in Australia, which the 27th of January is Canadian Family Literacy Day. So I'm saying that out loud because those of you in Canada probably can't read what's up on the screen there. So it's a day to really double down your efforts. Good luck. Let's talk about the Fantasy Basketball Waiver Wire, who has been added. And because this is a unique situation, it's not, you know what? It's not unique. And I'm starting a campaign right now. It's my platform of people love to talk about how we misuse the word literally. People love that. It's not actually literally, it's figuratively. Yep, I know that. But that has almost jumped the shark so much that we talk about it so much that people misuse it, that the incorrect usage has become common. Whatever. You think you know what I mean? Unique is a terribly used word, and I just misused it then as well, because I just said that a one-game day is unique, and it's not. It has happened before, therefore not unique. And you can't be quite unique. You can't be very unique. You can't be a little bit unique. You're either unique or you're not, or monique. But, so, yeah, it's not a unique day, because there have been one-game days in the NBA before. It's just a very uncommon event. There you go. That is my platform. Vote one, this guy. We've got a one-game day on Sunday. So a lot of the waiver moves are going to be like, who can I add from Oklahoma City? Who can I add from Portland? But so there's probably going to be more utility in looking at who's been dropped and in the Fantrax most addeds, because that's a 7-day reporting period. So let's just go and have a look then at Basketball Monster, which I do use 48 hours. And it is interesting that over the last 48 hours, the guys that have been added outside of one name are all from that one Sunday game. So people just skewed Saturday and said, nah, not adding with 14 games on, not even making many long-term adds. We're just adding for Sunday. Okay, so the number one name on this list, I'll just go through the Thunder and Blazers guy. Alex Caruso, wouldn't bother long-term. 2-game week for the Thunder next week as well. Tamani Kamara, he's a fringy player, we know this, but they've got a solid enough schedule. Rob Williams, when he plays and when one of the other centers is out, useful enough. Aaron Wiggins, absolutely not. And then Donovan Clingan, who was pretty good in the last game. Ayton's dealing with being DeAndre Ayton. Portland's dealing with being Portland. And Clingan's going to be up and down. Clingan is going to probably have some injury concerns as well. But I think now we can grab him and feel a little bit more confident. Although he could easily play 12 minutes if all three centers are healthy. The other name that is important on that list is Vit Krejci, because Jalen Johnson is out. And I don't know how long Jalen Johnson's going to be out. I would love to know how long Jalen Johnson's going to be out, but unfortunately, I don't know how long Jalen Johnson's going to be out. But what I do know is that with Jalen Johnson out, Vit Krejci is probably going to play 29 minutes. And Vit Krejci, in 29 minutes, as we have seen end of last season, as we have seen already this season, is a 12-team league player. Throw in the fact that Zachary Ricochet is also hurt, and DeAndre Hunter missed the last game. You cannot do better. Debatable, but you cannot do better, you maybe can, than adding Vit Krejci. To me, that is an easy one. It's an easy add. When Hunter comes back, when Ricochet comes back, if Johnson returns soon, then yeah, that all gets whittled away. But they're not happening at the moment, so that's okay. We just go in full Vit Krejci mode. A guy who was, I believe he was a Wizards second-round draft pick, who was like a weird sort of point guard, and now he's turned into a do-it-all, do-it-everything wing. You know what his career arc looks like? And obviously slightly different players, and this guy's actually been way better in the NBA than the guy I'm going to talk about, but it's the way Dante Exum's career went, where he came in as a highly ranked point guard. Obviously, Vic Krejci did not do that. And then he turned into a connecting defensive wing and had some success. Krejci's just been better at it. So that's an interesting name, I think, on that list. On Yahoo, it's a less than 24-hour reporting period, so it's nearly basically all Blazers and Thunder. I didn't double up the names, so just the other names there: Isaiah Joe, Cason Wallace, Pig Williams, the Oklahoma City Mudflap, Kenrich Williams, and Delano Banton. But the other name that snuck in there after all of those Thunder and Blazers guys was Zach Edey. And Edey, who had been bad for weeks. Last 2 games have been good. It is worth noting, and this is also a pattern that I'm not sure will hold, but it has happened. When the Grizzlies play serious teams, when they play good teams, they go, actually, Zach, no, we're not interested. When they play bad teams, they go out there and cook, big fella. And we've seen that multiple times. And they played some bad teams. They played Utah. They played the Pelicans. And Zach Edey went crazy. We'll see. And some of his earlier best games, I think, were against Charlotte and Brooklyn. Charlotte one, I'm not sure. Brooklyn, 100% it was. But when they play the good teams, it's like, just stand out of the way and actually just go sit down and play your 19 minutes. So the last 2 games for Edey are great. I love to see that. And maybe it is a retransformation back to 25 minutes. Maybe it was, though, just because Santi Aldama was also out, or because they played Utah and New Orleans. It's worth watching, it's worth grabbing to see, but that pattern definitely exists at the moment on Zach Edey, and we can't ignore it. We can debate the relevance that it has, but we can't ignore it. Fantrax is where we get a little bit more interesting in the waiver wire ads, because we're talking 7 days. Who's the most added player of the last 7 days? Nicholas Smith Jr. Now, Nick Smith Jr. wasn't very good yesterday. That's okay. With Brandon Miller done, with Trey Mann, I believe done, but also don't know that, Smith is going to get every opportunity. Now, this is where we need to be very cautious in talking about fantasy value, real life value, and how the intersection of those 2 areas meet right at the corner. All right? Nick Smith is not good as a real life player. Might he become good? Maybe. That's possible. Don't know. He's not there yet. He's not good. He can have some good fantasy games because A, he will get shots up, and especially for points leagues. The 2 things that create the best fantasy points value, there are 2 things that have the highest correlation of anything that you would do in fantasy points leagues. Minutes and usage. And you know what he does? He's going to get minutes and he's going to get usage. So just by being on the court and by having the ball, he will be useful. They are the 2 highest correlated things for fantasy value, whether it's points or category leagues. It's minutes to points and usage to points. So he's going to have those chances, Nicky. But he's also bad, right? He's not a good real-life player. So there's going to be, A bunch of inconsistency game to game. And there are going to be moments in games where Charles Lee goes, this dickhead, and gets Isaiah Wong out there, or gets KJ Simpson a run, or we get a big Vasa Micic game. That'll happen because, again, Nick Smith is not a good player at this point. At this point, before the Nick Smith family and friends and jump on and say, actually, he's going to be good. He's only young. Just wait to see what he can do. At the moment, he is not good. He will have good games. He will have bad ones. But what we feel good about with Smith is that the role is there. It's there. And the majority of the time, the minutes will be solid enough. The second most added player is Superman, Kel'el Ware. And we've talked a lot about Ware all the way through. I was like, as a backup center, he is not a rosterable player. There is not enough value in him. We need to see him play next to Bam to be a 12-team league guy. And then boom, he played next to Bam and we are all in and we add him. But then there was some weirdness in those games. There was blowouts. There was him putting up big minutes while the other starters sat in other situations and playing a Bam playing 24 minutes still. Or him being pulled off giggity 4 minutes into the third quarter as they got blown out, but then he came back in and played all of the fourth when they were down 30 points. Those things happened and made his numbers look absolutely gigantic. And then last game he played 26 minutes, still as a starter. And then Jimmy Butler comes back in the next one. So it is Eric Spoelstra. It is a young player, and there are going to be fluctuations. Now, this is not the same level of Nick Smith being bad in real life. Clearly, where I think is going to be very, very good. But there has been, they're not quite red flags. They're not quite beige flags. Maybe they're amber flags. I don't know. Where you go, that was interesting. But there were certain factors that led to 38 minutes. And then the last game played 26. Now, there was someone who immediately said, you told us to pick up this bum, and now I'm going to drop him. Do what you want, make those mistakes. That's all good. He still had, in those 26 minutes, 3 steals and 2 blocks, and like 10 and 7 or something, which is very, very far from a drop. Do not drop Kel'el Ware at all. But we are just, don't be shocked if we get spolstered a little bit. Duncan Robinson, one of the most added players, absolutely not, no interest. I know that your straight 9-count rankings will tell you that he is useful. He's not. He's a streamer for points and threes. Again, anytime you want to use a straight 9-count rank to determine or to justify a position on a player, you've got to then be able to look at where Giannis is ranked in 9-count and tell me that the 70 players ranked ahead of him actually are better than him. If you believe that, then go for it. If you don't, then those other rankings don't mean anything. Robinson's a threes streamer whose minutes fluctuate a lot. The next most added player is Mr. Black. And last game, we had Jalen Suggs back for a little bit. We had Cole Anthony back, and Black played under 20 minutes and was useless because, again, he is not very good. And he was forced into large minutes and was playing actually pretty well during that time. But that was because 2 other point guards were out. So it made sense to add him. It makes sense to drop him now, maybe, until we find out whether Jalen Suggs' knee is causing him problems, because I'm getting to that stage with Suggs where it's like the reckless nature of your play. Shout out to Alex Caruso. What is it with balding point guards who are demons on defense but can't stay healthy? Don't know. Maybe I shouldn't become a defensive point guard. We look at what he does and it's great, but maybe he can only be a 28-minute a night player. Maybe. Isaiah Collier, most added player. I don't know what Utah is doing. I have no idea. Last game they benched Keontae George and started Isaiah Collier. Why? I have no idea. Didn't really matter because George's minutes were still starters' minutes, but it was weird. Collier needs to be on rosters. I agree with this. And the next most added player is Wendell Carter Jr. I don't think that he holds long term. I have no idea. Someone left a comment, and I'll address it now. I want to say, Josh, why do you think that they'll keep starting him? Because you keep saying he's spacing. It's not that I think he should start. It's that I think they might do it. I actually really like Goga as a player. I think people are aware of this. I had him as a top 10 player in his draft. I really like Goga as a player. But it's not about whether I would make that decision. It's me trying to read the Magic's tea leaves. Maybe they start Wendell. Maybe they start Goga. I have no idea. I actually have no idea. But I'm not going to come here and say, well, yeah, Goga just rolls back in, plays 30 minutes a night as a starter when he's back from the concussion. That, I don't think, would be the proper thing for me to suggest as a likely outcome. It might, but I'd say that's a 10% chance. People have added Wendell, and even in these scenarios with Goga out, like, what's he been? Like a fringe guy at best? I don't think we need to get too excited about what Wendell Carter Jr. is going to bring. I don't. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Super Bowl 59, we are in the process of gathering the participants, the combatants right now. There are 2 teams. There's endless possibilities. Well, there's only one possibility. The possibility is who wins the Super Bowl. But in terms of what you can bet on with FanDuel, well, those possibilities are asymptotic to endless. Asymptotic? Pretty sure that's a word. Pretty sure. Anyway, when you're predicting the first touchdown, you can do it on FanDuel. The MVP, do it on FanDuel. Betting on the coin toss, well, you can do it on FanDuel as well. Live betting all game long. You can adjust your bets as the game unfolds and feel the thrill from kickoff to the final whistle. The live betting feature gets you involved no matter what happens on the field. And you know that if you place that $5 bet and win it, you can get $200 in bonus bets in the Super Bowl. That is the icing on the cake. Do you guys say, I know the phrase is icing on the cake. Sorry, FanDuel, we're just sidebarring in the middle of your ad. I know the phrase is icing on the cake, but I feel like Americans call it frosting. Don't you? Like if you're getting a cake, you don't say, look at the icing on this cake. Man, I love the icing. You go, I love the frosting. Or in some weird twist of fate, is frosting and icing a different thing to you? Anyway, hit me up in the comments. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com to get started. Just bet $5, and if you win, you score $200 in bonus bets. That is FanDuel.com. Bet with FanDuel, an official partner of Super Bowl 59. Do you have somebody in your life who's one of those like anti-sports people? When the Super Bowl's on, I'm actually just I'm not going to be watching the sports ball. Do you have one of those people? Sports ball. All right. What am I? This is Monday, early Monday morning for me, and I've already lost my mind like it's Friday afternoon. That's okay though. So now we look at the most dropped players. And this is where I do think there is a little bit more utility in looking at these names. And on Basketball Monster over the last 48 hours, the most dropped player is Chase Jackson Davis. Totally agree with that. That is fine. Jackson Davis is okay as a fantasy contributor. He is okay. He does need 25 minutes, but we know that foreseeable future legend Stephen Kerr may not do that. And at the moment, He is not doing that. So you can just go and move off of Jackson Davis. His minutes are way down. They're playing Quentin Postman-Pat. Kevon Looney plays. Draymond's going to return. You don't need to hold on to someone like Jackson Davis, whose finishing numbers have been down anyway. He's an older prospect who has some value at times, but he's not that good. So move on. The second one is one I do not understand for the life of me, and that is Scoot Sterling Henderson. Because A, the Blazers play on Sunday. Why would you drop Scoot when they play on Sunday? I don't get that at all. Yes, Chauncey Billups and his decision-making is absolutely asinine. I know they've won games. Who cares? Not really the point of any of this. But Scoot had a bad game. He fouled out in 14 minutes, which is really, really hard to do. He managed it, but it is hard to do. And people overreacted. 100% not a drop. Jaime Jaquez Jr. is a drop. We have got how much evidence of this? Butler plays, not good. Butler's out, not good. Butler's in, not good. Butler's out, one game good, every other game not good. And you can say you're stashing, waiting for a trade. That makes no sense. The logic behind it I cannot get behind. Because like I've said all along, if Butler is traded, somebody else is coming back in that deal. And the absolute best case scenario for Jaquez is when Butler is suspended. Because not only is Butler not on the team, but nobody else is either. And he still can't get it done. So yeah, drop him. Isaiah Collier people dropped because one game he played 27 minutes off the bench. No. Stop overreacting. No, that is a longer term ad who immediately the next game played 32 minutes. Easy hold. Steph Castle. That one I can get behind. They got cooked in that second game in France and he was pretty good, but he did play I think all of the final quarter. His minutes with Sohan back are not going to be high enough. And even in 30 minutes this season, he has not proven a regular 12-team league guy. Don't want it. I think Cole Anthony being dropped as well, which, again, totally okay. Suggs is back. Anthony was putting up numbers with Franz out as well. No reason to be holding on to Cole Anthony. I get behind most of those. On Yahoo, the most dropped player is Luke Kennard. Fine. Kennard has been pretty good. He's been pretty good. I don't think that he's someone you need to absolutely just grasp onto and be like, I need Luke Kennard in my life. With Morant out, he's doing more than Scottie Pippen, but Morant's playing, and Morant will probably miss 2 out of the next 6 games, as he always does. But that's okay. The next most dropped player is Nick Smith. Okay, I just talked about Nick Smith being one of the most added players, and the reasons behind that, we know what to do there. Gershon Yabusele most dropped. This has been the story with him all season. Much like when, the name just completely, Jaime Jaquez, right? Much like with Jaquez. Embiid's going to be hurt all the time, so why wouldn't I just hold Yabusele? Well, because he has these games when Embiid is out anyway. It's not like when Embiid is out, old mate's rolling as a top 50 player. He's not. He's 125th with Embiid out, which is fine. It's okay. We can use it. But also, you don't have to, because when Embiid does play, if Embiid does play, this guy will be the 200th best player. And when he does play, he's barely your 12th best guy, maybe? Embiid out does not auto-generate big top 60 numbers for Yabusele. Not even close. You'll get a couple of good games, absolutely. But you won't get huge amounts of them. Ty Jerome's been dropped. He was awesome in that last game for the Cavs. He's on that little hot streak, which I love for him. We all love to get some milk, but I don't think that the milk is going to stay fresh for that long. A lot of what he does always comes on these. I think he would have hit 11 threes in a row. That's really good for you, Ty. It makes for great social media graphics. It makes for great tweets. It makes for great, look how good he is. But for us, all of those things, and I haven't really stressed that this much this season, but one of those things, when you see Basketball Forever, Legion Hoops, any aggregator accounts or sites on Twitter or Instagram, whatever, and they put up, this guy averaging 20 points over his last 5 games, shooting 70% from 3, and fans of the team in the league go, man, he's on a hot streak, he's cooking, woo, he's awesome. And we should look at it and go, that's not holding. There is no way that is holding. So while the real NBA world celebrates when someone goes on an unbelievable shooting streak, we look at that and go, absolutely not. Not happening, not sticking, nothing sustainable. Get ready for the crash. It is going to bite. And we've already seen it with Milk already this season. He's just back to a hot streak. So stream him in, no worries. But not a hold, no. Anthony Black's been dropped. Absolutely. See you later. Bye-bye. And yeah, why are people dropping Tari Eason? And this is what I'll say about Eason. He was out with the leg issue. He came back. They said he's on the limit of 25 minutes. I said, bro, you weren't even playing him in 25 before he got hurt. And then he started putting up ridiculous numbers. The last 2 games are the problem with Tari. There are games when Ime Udoka just is play 21, have 4 points, shoot 12%, which he did. He is not guaranteed, and this is always the problem with bench versus starter, is that when you are a bench player, your minutes floor is lower, your minutes ceiling is lower. There will be games where you do great, but the ability to get to those higher levels it's just reduced. I don't know how much you want to quantify it by, but it is just reduced. Eason also, the small worry I have is that last time this happened, Eason was killing it. He was killing it in the bench roles, playing 26, was pushed 27, pushed 28. And then he went down to 23 and 22 and 21. And you know what happened then? Tari Eason's out for a month with leg soreness. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen here, but I'm not going to lie that there's a little bit of PTSD there going, well, they pushed him to those minutes and now they've pushed him back and he's struggling. Are we going to get it again? I'm marginally worried. All of those negatives that I've just said do not justify dropping Tari Eason. So if you saw those things, go, yeah, Josh is right. Don't drop him. Please don't. I'm going to be really clear about this. Do not drop Tari Eason. That would be a crazy move. You can drop him if we get this as every game playing 20 minutes or he's out again with an uncertain return time frame. But no, we don't do it now. We just don't do it now. And then on Fantrax, last 7 days, who's been dropped? Quentin Grimes. I haven't jacked anybody just yet.
Get that garbage out of here.
Thank you, John. So, yeah, Grimesy, not worth holding. Keon Johnson's going to have big ones. He's going to have small ones. The Nets are going to be all over the shop in terms of where their value is. I don't think Cam Johnson plays a game for the Nets again, is my prediction. Cam Thomas, I'm not sure. D'Angelo Russell, I'm not sure. Let's put it this way. Russell, Simmons, and Thomas, from here on out, what are the odds that all three of those players play over 50% of their games? The odds of that have to be single digits or percentage chance. What are the odds that we get one of those players playing 50% of their games from here on out? I think it's still single digits, honestly. I think they're going to just routinely rest them with, like, they gave D'Angelo Russell a status of injury, right hamstring injury maintenance management. What does that mean? It means tanking. Ben Simmons is back now, causing him to miss games. It's going to be nasty. So Keon's going to, and much like we go back to the Nick Smith scenario, this is Nick Smith, right? He's bad. He's not a good real-life player. He's going to have games where he plays 25 minutes and games where he plays 33 and games where he scores 24 and games where he scores 6 on 2% shooting. And games where he has 4 steals and games where he has 0 combined assists, steals, and blocks. That'll happen. He's streamable. I don't feel good about him being a must. The next 4 drops on Fantrax, easy drops. Easy. Royce O'Neal, not a 10, not a 12, easy. The cockroach Mason Plumlee, get him out of here in 14-team leagues. TJ McConnell, with them being healthy, you don't roster him. Simple as that. You could stream him when you get desperate on a Sunday for assists, but that is it. And the last one's the big ragu, Dante DiVincenzo. Of course, if you've got open ILs, you can hold. That's okay. But he's not back. He's out for at least 3 weeks. I think it's longer. And when he comes back, he'll have a sore toe. They'll have to re-ramp him up, reintegrate, all that sort of stuff. Not interested in holding if I don't have the open IL slot, which I might, but I also might not. And that is, again, a decision you can make. I've got 5 names on this list that I believe over the next few weeks could be and should be top 100-ish type players. A couple of them we've already mentioned, but I'm just going to reiterate them. Kel'el Ware, I would not drop him. The second one, I hate it. I hate putting it here. But I went in, I've adjusted his projections multiple times over the last 2 to 3 weeks. I've looked at the minutes, I've looked at the trends. I've broken down the numbers in the lab. I haven't, because I hate the lab. I'm sitting at a desk. I don't have a lab. If I did, I should come in with safety goggles on. Anyway, that's beside the point. Jaden McDaniels is the player I'm talking about. He's been really good. I will not have any level of faith in Jaden McDaniels maintaining this for 3, 4, 5 weeks. None at all. Not a single part of it am I faithful in. None. I don't believe it. But it's happening right now. So if I want to just look at it and go, hey, maybe for the next week or two we'll do it. We'll try it. We'll see what we get. Okay. So I hate to say that it's must roster because it feels like I'm going to get piranha'd downstairs. Like it's going to, and I think you know what that means. One of my greatest fears in life is getting a piranha to the glands. Don't know why. Probably never going to happen to me. It's a fear. Anyway, Jaden McDaniels. You should grab him, I guess. Kelly Oubre on this list as well. Oubre, hate him. No, that's not true. Love him. Sexy man. Very, very jealous over here. Very jealous of him. What I hate from Kelly Oubre is the way that he plays and his fantasy game. But when you're playing 39 minutes a night, like we went all the way back to Nick Smith at the start, it's really hard to hate that. because the floor is so high. Nick Nurse, for whatever reason, maybe because he wants to lose, loves playing Kel'el Oubre 39 minutes. He loves it. And Oubre will have games where he has 10 points or 9 points on 4 shots. And he'll have, here's 3 blocks and 10 boards out of nowhere. Because when you're out on the court, you just get to do things. And that's where we're at with Oubre. Andrew Wiggins is remarkably under-rostered. Is he very good? He's better than Oubre. I'll give you that much. He's a better player than Oubre. He's a better fantasy player than Oubre. And the Warriors just need to continually give him those 30 minutes, and I think they are. He is just not criminally, because we're not doing arrests for fantasy basketball roster percentages. That would seem a little, wrong. Wiggins just should be rostered. And the last name on this list is someone I just talked about. Like, people have dropped Tyrese and don't. Add him, and then we reassess if things do change down the line. What about droppable dudes? We'll talk about them in a sec. We'll get there. Sit there and recite to yourself what we mean when we say droppable. What does it mean? Am I telling you to drop somebody? No. Unless it's Rui Hachimura. But no, I'm not telling you to drop somebody. I'm telling you, if these guys sit on your roster, you look at it with a critical eye. You look at your position in the standings. You look at who's available. You look at what your matchup is, and you go, do I need to? Do I need to hold on to Shaedon Sharpe? Because I will, again, my position on Shaedon Sharpe is very clear. Do I think he's good? No. Do I think he does wow athletic plays? Of course. Do I think they could give him a lot of minutes down the stretch? Yeah, maybe. But he lost his starting spot. He had been starting and getting all of the minutes in Portland, and they went, I'm not sure about this. And now he's back to very low minutes, and he's got the problem where he needs big usage and big minutes to be fantasy relevant, because he doesn't really get assists or rebounds or steals or blocks or shoot great from the field, or even shoot excellently from the line. Although, I feel like I just said that about him shooting from the line, and someone's going to point it out, and I'm going to go look, and he's like an 89% shooter. So, for some reason, I'm going to check that. That is live fact-checking. Let's double-check, because I don't want to have made an incorrect comment there. Let's have a look. Shaedon Sharpe. No, I am right. There you go. 80% from the line, which is reasonable. It's fine, but it's not good. And the difference between good and bad, good and bad in a fantasy, there is I needed one show yesterday, so I've got a lot of words. Good and bad in fantasy, nothing's a binary. Everything's a spectrum. You can't just be, he's good at this, or he is bad. You can be good at free throws. You can be excellent at free throws. You can be okay at free throws. 80, if something is not bad, doesn't mean it's good. So Shaedon Sharpe at free throws is not bad. But that doesn't mean he's good. It means he is right on the button, right on the nose. 80 is the average. The problem with that is you miss one free throw and you've toppled from average to well below. You hit one extra and you've gone from average to well above. It puts you in a spot like, I don't know what I'm going to get from him. So the overall point there on Shaedon is, what does he do that's good? He is averaging 17 points, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 0.8 steals, 0.2 blocks, 45 and 80. And I want you to guess how many of those contributions are actually above average for 12-team leagues. The answer is 2 of them. Points at 17.5 is barely above, and threes at 1.9, where the average is, I think, 1.85. That's it. Everything else is below average. So all this comes down to, if Shaedon Sharpe plays 33 minutes, you probably want to. If he gets anything under that, you do not. I think Nick Claxton's a drop. Why? Because he does not try. He is completely checked out on this team. They should not have, I don't believe they should have re-signed him. I think they had better options in Clowney and Sharp that they could have just tried to develop. He is not trying. He's going to get fake injured. I'm pretty certain of that at some point this season. And what he is giving you at the moment, with a lack of effort blocks-wise, inefficiency, bad free throws, I think it's one of those ones where, like with Kuzma, what I've said, that if you drop him, someone will grab him immediately, and then he just ends up doing damage to their team because then they don't want to drop him. Although Kuzma decided to just change everything last game, so that's annoying. Thank you. The next one on this list is Tyus Jones. Is Tyus Jones worth dropping? He's worth considering. Over the last 2 weeks, he's 178th. That's clearly not a 12-team league player. But finding assists is really hard to do. But we have seen, and I don't know what's going to happen now. Ryan Dunn got hurt yesterday. Bradley Beal played a lot of minutes, but they, after a really good start to the year, they have gone away from needing a point guard 32 minutes a night. He plays 26 or 25 or 24 or 27. He has 7 points on 10 usage. He's an assists specialist at the moment, Jones. For some of you, that is perfect. For others, not really. Christian Braun I have on this list. Brown, nice little run. 3 20-point games in a row, needs elite efficiency to get there, but we also saw that he consistently gets 3, 4, 5 fewer minutes than the starters. And when they play a game that's not decided by 12 points, which seems to be never, I think that everyone else will play 30, 32, 34, 37, 36, 36, and he'll play 25 and be useless because he's not a usage player. He doesn't get big defensive stats, although he does at times. He's not a rebound or assist player, but he needs to shoot 60% from the field to get there, and that's not a reliable indicator. Jonas Valanciunas is on this list. I know that some of you be going, but what if he gets traded? Who is trading for him to be a starter? I don't know why you would do that. Who is trading for him to be a 24-minute a night player? Also, don't know who would do that. He is playing on the worst team in the NBA and gets 17 minutes regularly. I think that he's totally reasonable to hold on to. Valanciunas, totally. I would probably hold him over Claxton, honestly, because at least I know there's a level of consistency. But also, what's he doing? Not much. The last name is Aaron Gordon, tied in with Christian Braun. Gordon was pretty good last game. But the occasional big game burst, which doesn't happen that often, in a situation where he looks like he's going to be minutes limited for a while, does that justify a hold? What's his overall best case? The 90th best player, maybe, if he played 34, and he's not going to? I don't think that it's a necessity to hold on to old mate as Gordon. A couple more segments to go through here. Let's look at the last week. Some hot players who have been in the top 100. Andrew Nembhard's only played 2 games because the Pacers have only played 2, but he's the 46th ranked player. Do I want to roster Andrew Nembhard? Not really, no. 1 quality game this week, 2 games overall. He will have the occasional good assist game, which puts him into that, assists are useful, maybe I'll look at that, but that's about it. He's not playing 34 a night, he's not getting huge usage, he just has a couple of really good games in Paris, and that bumped him up. Luke Kennard's the 60th ranked player, we talked about him already, that's great. He's had some good games, don't care, not a 12. The next one is more interesting. That is Jordan Namua-Hawkins, 81st ranked player over the last week. Now, I believed that DeJounte Murray with a finger sprain injury was at risk of missing weeks. Because the way that they've continued listed him there, the elbow issue, now finger sprain on a team that's tanking, I thought, hey, they might just sit him down. But now, no. Hawkins was his name. DeJounte is listed questionable for their next game. Hawkins, though, and I was going to talk BJ Boston later, but I'll give you my BJ news right now. They're not playing him. He is inactive. They are preserving his 50-game limit. I think he's at 39. He's got 11 games left that he can play unless they convert his contract. So they're waiting for either 2 things. Trade deadline / fake injuries to give him those extra games and preserve it through the end of the season, or to open up a roster spot to convert him full-time. So they're not playing BJ at all. So that means that we're getting more out of Hawkins, more minutes. Now, Hawkins is a points and threes merchant. He doesn't do anything else. He gets the occasional steals, but he's very flaky. The minutes aren't secure. And if DeJounte was out, I'd feel better about it. But he's interesting here at least, Jordy. Nikola Jovic, there's the occasional bad one from him in there, but overall he's been very good. He is 90th over the last week. I love what he's doing. Jimmy Butler and all that stuff can complicate it, but I'd rather Jovic over Jaquez easily. I'd rather him over Robinson. I'd rather him over Rozier. I'd rather Jovic over Highsmith very, very easily. What about the next guy, the 92nd ranked player, the Pencil Harrison Barnes? Barnesy. Yeah, he's had a couple of good games, but honestly just couldn't care less. And then number 94 is Derek Jones, who's also had a good run of things, but you would notice that his game that he had on Saturday was bad because he is Derek Jones. And he had a nice little run with Kawhi out and a bunch of rests in a 4-game in 5-night period where he did take advantage of it. We don't care. The upside of Derek Jones is not high. He can have the occasional solid run, as he's had here, 94th over the last week. That's really solid. But overall, this is a 14-team league player with 12-team streamability at certain times. Some injury plays. Larry Nance started last game with Jalen Johnson out, but also it's worth remembering, is it because Jalen Johnson was out, or is it because Jalen Johnson, Zachary Ricochet, and DeAndre Hunter were out? Because Hunter and Krejci were the starters last time. No, sorry, that's not true. Ricochet and Krejci were the starters, and then Ricochet went down, and then it was Hunter and Krejci as the 2 starters. And now that those guys are out, it's Nance. Now, does Nance stay as the 4? Don't know. He also did the thing where he played 20 minutes and had 4 points because that's Larry Nance. I don't know that he gets any center minutes, although last game Clint Capella barely played, so we can jack him. Nance is interesting enough because he's back in the mix. They chucked him straight into a starting job, but I'd be cautious with it. I'm going to put Justin Edwards here Paul George left the last game with a finger issue. Who knows what nonsense is going on? But at the moment, he is clearly ahead of the Mayor Ricky Council. Clearly. Now, Edwards isn't doing awesome stuff. He is existing. But on a Philadelphia team that who knows where they're going, existing and continuing to exist, shout out to life, continue to exist is something that just might get him there. Probably more for 16s and 14s. But I can see things going off the rails at some point, and Edwards is rostered in 0% of leagues. None. No one's rostering him. I'm not saying you need to, but I'm saying that if you've got stash ability, I like him over Council. I like him over Eric Gordon. We're just seeing we're seeing a decent amount of trust in him. I put Jose Alvarado on this list because of the DeJounte Murray injury. Played 32 last game. And if he plays 30 plus minutes, Alvarado, well, that's a clear must roster player. Also, I beg you to go and look at the CJ McCollum game logs. Is there a more maddening, frustrating, inconsistent player in the NBA? I cannot get my head around him at all. I've got Noah Clowney on this list because Cam Johnson's injured, and then Simmons might be injured, and Russell might be injured. And I know that you'll look at Clowney's ranking and you'll tell me how bad Clowney is. I had a little short that I put out about this the other day, saying, I know you're going to tell me he's bad, and I'm not going to tell you that he's good. But there is criticism of Clowney for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. I don't know what you're expecting from him. But the thing was, first of all, he's not getting defensive stats. Where are the defensive stats? Well, you know what? They're back. He's getting defensive stats. They're there. And now what he's just not doing is shooting. He's averaging 1.3 steals and 1.3 blocks over his last 4 games. He's playing 31 minutes a night. But you know what he's doing? Hitting 30% from the field. So is he going to be, like last season he shot 54 from the field. This season he's 38. Nothing is going in at all. And maybe he's just a dreadful shooter. Maybe. But those things that we hated, where are the defensive stats? They're there, they're fine, they're back, it's all good. Now he can't shoot. And if he goes on a run where he hits 50% of his shots, instead of shooting 27% on 2s and 31 on 3s, and getting incredibly low numbers, then you're talking about a 14, 5, 1.5 steal, 1.5 block player, which is unbelievably valuable. And Johnson is out. would be watching Clowney. Yeah, it might not ever work, but there is enough scaffolding around the role to feel okay about it. And I get that you won't, and that's okay. I actually don't think you're going to miss out on a top 80 player at all. Lonzo Ball I put as an injury guy here because Kobe White is out, and Ball has reclaimed his starting spot. If Lonzo plays 24 a night, he doesn't swerve and hit that corner. Whoa. What he does is get you enough value to be a top 100 fantasy guy. Not through scoring, but 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.5 steals, 0.8 blocks, 2.5 threes. And the thing that I'd also be worried about as a Bulls person is, it's kind of like Dosunmu. Is it just that he is #not good? Maybe. Or is his calf busted? Maybe. But he is just not playing at all. His minutes are so far down. And Lonzo's getting prioritized. So that's interesting. And the last name I put there is Quentin Post. The Warriors, foreseeable future legend Steph Curry came out and said, oh yeah, our center can shoot. That's interesting, huh? And the only center of theirs that can shoot is him. It's not Jackson Davis. It's not Draymond Green. It's not Kevon Looney. Now, this is a deeper league play for Post, but it's there. He can hit some threes. And he might play 18 minutes, have 12 points with 3 threes. Deeper leagues. While Draymond and Kuminga as well are out. Lastly, I've got 6 other names to talk about. The Shark, Bruce Brown. Right? It's very easy to get excited about Brown. We all love Brown. I've loved Brown for years, since he played for the Pistons, and they gave him up for John and Musa. What were you idiots doing? Shout out Troy Weaver. He had a great run in Brooklyn. He had a great run in Denver. He's been plagued in injuries. Last season in Indiana, he had the role. He just did nothing with it. And he's had a couple of good games in Toronto. But it does require many things to go his way to get enough minutes to be a 12-team league guy, and I don't believe he will do that. So I'm not looking at him as a 12-team league player. The next name there is Brandon Podziemski, who was very good last game for Golden State. He had impacts on guys like Dennis Schroeder, who, by the way, cooked. Done. Podziemski's way better than him at the moment. And if we could just push pods up to 28, then I'd feel very good about a 12-team league guy. I don't feel good about it, but it's moving up. Josh Okogie, defensive stats, very good in Charlotte. There are chances the guys sit, and if someone like Miles Bridges misses games, I would be interested in trying Okogie. He's very hit or miss with his efficiency and usage, but the defensive stats are pretty good, so he's a name to watch and grab in deepers. I just talked BJ Boston, so you don't need to be subjected to my BJ notes again. And then next one is Drew Eubanks. 24 minutes of Drew Eubanks, 12-team player. So we watch how they use Kessler. We watch what happens with Collins, who's ill now. Ill. Yeah, all right, cool. We watch how they use Markkanen. But Eubanks, we got to just keep an eye on. And the last name there is, and I don't do this very often, but I'll do it now, Dynasty League players. Jalen Tyson, I think, is going to be a very good player. Now, he is on a stacked Cavs team. He doesn't get to play much. Check out his G League numbers. Check out the numbers that he's had just playing this season. But there's Milk, there's Levert, there's Okoro, there's Strus, there's Merrill. All these guys are in front of him. There's even Craig Porter around, but the Tyson I think is going to be better than Porter. But in Dynasty Leagues, eventually stuff usually shakes free. Doesn't always. We're still waiting for Josh Minot and Leonard Miller to shake free in Minnesota. Doesn't always shake free. But I think it will. And he's sort of off the radar. Dynasty League, some of you will know what he's about, but just, it's a longer term play. It's a true Dynasty play. And by the way, guys, if you're in a Dynasty League and there's 150 players rostered, you're not in a Dynasty League. You're in a redraft league that creates more division and more separation between good and bad in an unbalanced league, and you probably need to change that. But that's a topic for another day. If you want to leave a comment below, we can have more of a chat about it. But Jalen Tyson is a nice Dynasty League play, and for some reason, I've just waffled because, again, it's Canada Family Literacy Day, and that's something I'm really passionate about. So make sure you guys up in Canada, pick up your books, get ready to go, but also hit the thumb on this video, leave your comments as well. And what I also want you to do is understand that I am joking about Canada. I don't hate Canada at all. It is a funny joke, and the reason that I do the joke is because there's always going to be one person who has a crazy comment of this Canada inferiority thing, so I just run with it, and I find it funny. And I know the majority of people do as well. It is a joke. It is an ongoing bit that has been going for like 4 years. I do not hate Canada. Although, no, I don't. What I also don't hate is you. What I don't hate is myself, and that's a hard journey to get to. Although at times, peeks back through. Stay positive. Focus on a good thing. I hope your team loses in the NFL championship games. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. Unless it's the Bills. Go Toronto. See ya.